Oh, now it's live.
Yeah, live.
It's broadcasting.
Good morning.
Nice. Good morning. So we start the RebelNews podcast right here, brought to you by Zero Turnaround Dev Relation Team. Who?
Whoa.
We have all those mocks here, right? Everybody. Nice. So what are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about all kind of new cool stuff that Zero Turnaround brings to you, and probably about new releases, probably about our products. But this is the first episode, so we are going to make it experimental. We are going to call it episode number 0. Or Oleg said it will be #0, right? So #0, the first episode that we are doing right now. And we thought that we will just talk about our cool products, what can we do with them, and why they are cool, right? So what do we have there? Like, what if we go to our website,
We should probably do introductions as well.
Oh, yes.
People know who they're listening to.
Correct. I already said that it's a Zero Turnaround Dev Relations team. So I'm Anton. We have Simon.
Hello.
The super VP of the Dev Relation team. And we have Oleg.
Hi, people.
Hi, everybody. So this is the full team, and let's go to our website, and I share my screen, and we see the awesome website of Zero Turnaround right there, the revolutionary developer tools, right? And our flagship product is right there. We can see the title, JRebel. So JRebel reloads code changes instantly. Oleg, what are you being asked at the conferences when you go and introduce JRebel? What do people think of it? Like, what do they ask normally?
Well, let's see. So let's start. Imagine you were a person at the conference, and I'm like being me at the conference, and I'm telling you that JRebel is this little tool that allows you to kind of change your code in your workspace, in your IDE, and then reload that code immediately without like restarting your Java process. So you don't have to spend time waiting for your project to build. You don't have to spend time waiting for your application server or Java process to restart. All you have to do is just like change your code, and you immediately can see the results of those changes in action in your application. So it saves you loads of time.
But why did you say it's a little tool? It's not so little, actually.
It's like 6 megabytes.
Really? I didn't know. Like,
I don't know, but it downloads pretty fast. That I know. We say that we can set up the IDE plugin and enable JRebel on the project in under a minute. So I assume that
based on your internet connection.
Yeah, given like say 1 megabyte a second, which is fairly normal for a conference, maybe even a bit generous for a conference internet, that will give you like 60 megabytes to download.
Okay. But the IDE plugin is actually a bit more than 6 megabytes, right?
Oh, the IDE's plugins are larger, of course. Because, well, there is the core functionality of JRebel, right? Which is the Java agent, which is like a jar file that you put somewhere in your path, and it does its magic by just like observing the file system and being plugged into the JVM process as the agent. And that is what enables this reloading functionality. But IDE plugins are different things. So they typically concentrate on 3 things, or at least a couple of things. So they simplify the installation, updates, and configuration of JRebel itself. They simplify the configuration of the projects which you want to use with JRebel. So that includes like a number of optional plugins for frameworks to have particular integrations with something that is not enabled out of the box, maybe something less mainstream than, I don't know, something like, if you use Spring, then JRebel will be configured to reload that out of the box. But if you use something very obscure,
like what?
That's a good question.
Because JRebel supports so many technologies out of the box. You basically name it, and the support is right there. Like if I go to documentation, I probably will find the supported environments chapter.
You have it on the right under the frameworks.
Yes, frameworks. So if I go to the frameworks, the list is huge. Like,
Yeah,
I normally tell people it's over 80, but I'm looking at the website, it says over 100.
Maybe
So
that is just counting versions.
Maybe, yeah,
Play
maybe.
Framework 1 and Play Framework 2 are two different Play frameworks.
But to be fair, they are two different web frameworks.
They are. They are. Maybe Log4j1, Log4j2, that is quite different. Maybe something. But do you know if all of that is enabled out of the box? Because I certainly know that sometime there was a screen where you can at least disable those configurations.
I'm pretty sure that it was changed that they're pretty much all enabled out of the box these days.
And you cannot disable that.
No, because I mean it's so fast. It's so fast.
That's so confident.
Well, basically, it's so fast anyway that it just recognizes if anything is being used, and it'll only then act on what is currently being used in the application. If there is a problem that occurs because one of them's enabled, and for whatever reason there's a bug, you can still disable it. But I don't think it's as easy to do through maybe the IDE, just because what you want to do with these kind of tool screens is try and make the configuration as accessible as you can. And one of the ways of doing that is just to remove the options that only like 2% of people are going to use anyway.
Yeah, and if you really need those, you can actually find the special configuration options in the manual, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like what kind of IDEs we actually support? Oh, damn! I thought it's just the 3 major ones, but we actually have more listed. Even Oracle JDeveloper is here. Nice. All right, and application servers, like how many application servers do you actually know by heart?
Oh, that's a great question. So obviously the biggies: WebSphere, WebLogic, JBoss.
Tomcat.
We'll then go to the smallies: Tomcat, Jetty. I know Resin is supported, Glassfish. Oh yeah, Tommy.
Oh, they don't even fit on my screen. That many.
Oh, Geronimo.
Oh, we still support that, right? I haven't seen like a lot of users for the past years actually who use Geronimo or would ask for support for it, but we still have it.
What's Geronimo for Tomcat then? Because I remember Geronimo being this kind of Apache open source server.
That's a good question. Probably, I don't know. It's actually should be just Geronimo, but for some reason it says Geronimo for Tomcat. I guess we have to get back to our technical writer and ask for it.
That's good. We're in this podcast. We're actually creating issues that we can send back. That's perfect.
Nice. I think it's a copy paste error, because like before, just before this Geronimo for Tomcat, we have LifeRay for Tomcat.
That's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, and they just replaced the LifeRay with Geronimo, but didn't delete Tomcat. So it should be just Geronimo.
It would be great though if you needed a Tomcat server to run Geronimo though. That would be amazing.
Nice one. All right. So JRebel is like a very nice tool, right? But what are the implications like when we start using JRebel? Like, did you have any conversations with the users? How did their life change after starting to use JRebel? Simon.
That's a good question. So I found people who started using JRebel and didn't use JRebel before They tended to their life was so much better because they tended to earn more money. They found love. They they moved into bigger houses. They had pets. It was simply incredible. Um, but seriously, though, I think one of the biggest things is, and I used to work for IBM and lots of work on WebSphere, and there are you can get huge frustrations when you're working with large environments or large app servers, large applications, whereby literally you're just writing code, and then all of a sudden you have to stop, and it could be extremely frustrating, and it tends to be really dull in your day job. And I think people, when they actually do something whereby it's fun to do, you'll enjoy it, and development is fun. And when you eliminate the kind of the lengthy times through build, just from a pure development point of view, you can spin around, test, and then go straight back into development. So I think from a pure developer's point of view, it actually just makes development more interesting, more accessible again. And purely from an enjoyment point of view, it's much better. From a time point of view, obviously it's going to save you a very good amount of time. I think from studies it's shown to be around 17-ish% of time saved. So obviously you'll be able to do more in a shorter amount of time. You're on the JRebel case studies page there. Network assets is one of our interesting cases there, because they actually measured their how much
The velocity.
they could get with and without JRebel. And they with their statistics, they showed a 40% increase in their velocity using JRebel. So I mean that's pretty substantial. Obviously, some people are going to get better. Some people aren't going to get as good. Some people are going to actually get better than 40%. I think the MSLC got 50%. They were using LiveRay, I think.
Nice. I actually noticed one interesting effect with this time-saving changes is that, for instance, a company who's using WebLogic, let's say their redeploy time is, let's say, 5 to 6 minutes, and we have this configuration options in JRebel plugin where you can just for yourself configure how much time you actually save with JRebel. And as your restarts are so slow, you tend to put a lot of changes in one batch and then test them. And now, since this 5 to 6 minute redeploy time is cut by JRebel, you start doing a lot of small changes and introducing those updates incrementally, like one by one. And it turns out that since this time now is so small that you spend on the updates, after using JRebel for, let's say, 30 minutes, it will report that you actually saved 1 hour, which is funny because you only worked for 30 minutes, but you updated the application, let's say, 10 times already. Right?
Which is great.
Before that, you just couldn't do that, and
Yeah.
now you can, and it actually changes your style working with the code. You make small changes. You don't batch them anymore. You introduce a change. You test it.
Yeah,
and
that's actually what the guy from MSLC said, which is when you're not using JRebel, you're effectively. In fact, did he say it there? No, he doesn't. He said you're effectively. I think he said you're developing blind because you're not testing your code, whereas. Or you test it almost like in a Big Bang style, closer to a Big Bang style, where you write more code before you actually do the deploy and test. So he tests now using JRebel. He tests every single bit of code that he writes because it's so quick to do. It's just refreshing your browser and you test that little bit of code that you just wrote.
Correct. So JRebel is a nice tool, right? So if you are already using JRebel, we would like to hear back from you, like what are your impressions and what are the implications for your use case. Maybe we get you up in this case studies list. Why not? And if you haven't used JRebel, like give it a try. Maybe you like it. it's hard to go back without it, actually.
And in this podcast, we'll be talking more depth about different features of JRebel. So if you have any questions, we should probably have a hashtag or something. RebelNews, hashtag RebelNews. How's that?
Yeah, works for me.
Cool.
I think.
So yeah, ask any questions and we'll answer them on this podcast.
Actually, JRebel has its own hashtag as well. Hashtag JRebel. It also works for us. If you have any feedback or questions on Twitter, use the hashtag. We will find you and definitely answer. And okay, we have this flagship product of ours, but we also have another one which is called XRebel. It's the second product. Nice one. I'm probably a bit spoiled by this one because I used to be a product manager for XRebel. But did you have any chance to talk to the users just lately, Simon?
Yeah, so I've been to a conference in a while actually, but I do talk to customers fairly regularly. I was doing a couple of on-sites last week, and I was talking about XRebel, yeah, and it's interesting because XRebel is one of those tools. It's a performance tool essentially, which is focused to developers. And developers, you talk to developers about performance, and they're just like sometimes, they're keen on getting great performance, but the majority I find are very much like performance. Well, that's we'll deal with that later when we need to deal with it, which is kind of wrong. It's obviously cheaper and more effective to fix bugs as early as you can, and XRebel's a performance tools that gives you that insight into your application as early as possible, and you can find performance bugs without the need to look into to run load and stress tests and things like that. I thought you were going to play that video, and I think it's got my voice on it, that video. I hate listening to my own voice, so please don't.
Okay, I just thought it's actually an animated GIF, but it's a real video. But we have animated animations right here, like below the list. What I really like about XRebel is actually the UI. We put a lot of effort into it. We polished every single pixel in the UI, and it's really nice.
And of course, the nice kind of even before that, the way you actually use it is nice as well, because when you enable XRebel on an application, on a web app, it actually runs within your web app, and you can see the toolbar there on the left hand side. That toolbar is actually running as part of your application now. So you just hit the context root of your application, and you'll see that toolbar appear. And as you click around and as you interact with your application, the XRebel toolbar will provide you with performance metrics around the interaction that you have with the application. And what you're seeing here is this is actually I/O requests going through on that request, and you can actually see a JPA request there. You can see in that select, I don't know if that select's going to be opened up. Looks like it, maybe. There you go, and you'll be able to actually see the SQL which is being driven there. So
with the parameters,
yeah, with parameters and everything, and it's the ability to, in a single view, to actually see everything that's going on is very, very useful, and that's why it's designed at developers, right? Because it's kind of in their face; they can see it straight away.
Yeah, you can pretty much debug the behavior like from the performance angle, and yeah, like Oleg, did you try it yourself? You obviously did some demos at the conferences.
XRebel, I didn't try, honestly. I didn't try it on any of my pet projects because most of them are kind of library likes, not web apps, right? So, but I did try it on multiple demos, and I did construct a small kind of challenge application for the conferences where I would show it to people and give them the source code and ask them to solve a performance issue. And while I was designing that, obviously I used XRebel as well. Well, and JRebel as well, because why not? Being so close to the company producing them. Nice. And it's a very non-intrusive experience. Long time ago, like a couple of years ago, I personally wasn't fully on board with how intrusive XRebel would be. Like, imagine you have your web application and something pops up there and introduces the UI elements to your window, to your basically working space, and it gives you some information while you are trying to do maybe something else. And that seemed maybe like not the bestest idea in the world. But over time, and while using it more and more, I kind of grew over that. So it just sits there. It doesn't attract your attention more than necessary. It gives you the useful and relevant information, like how much time went into which bits and parts of serving particular requests in like a single click when you want that. But when you don't want that, it just sits back there. So a couple of use cases, and not use cases, like flows of the usage that I found out with XRebel myself. So you have an application, a web app, and you know that you want to change some particular part of that. So you navigate through your application there. And if you know your code really well, then it's kind of, it has this mental representation in your brain, in your mind, and you know exactly which parts do what, and like what is involved in producing those application views to you. But sometimes you are going back to an older code, or maybe somebody else wrote that code, or maybe you're working with the legacy application and then you are completely unaware of what is happening. And then you use XRebel, first of all, just to see what is happening. So you hit your application with a request, and you know that it gets processed somehow. But in the code, there are like a number of interfaces and components that are plugged dynamically, and you sift through code and you find yourself going in a loop, coming back to the same interfaces again and again. And then you are like, okay, I'm done. I don't have time for this. And then you look at XRebel, and it shows you the stack trace, the cold stack of what has happened. And you can see which libraries kind of were responsible. The thing on the right, you kind of see that because it's like super tiny, or you're just watching my face rather than the absent screen. But like, it shows the libraries and it shows the classes names for the most important bits. And it's kind of really cool. And then you know what is happening, and you have a better capacity to change the code in a way that doesn't break, say, much. It will break a little, but maybe you want to explode this.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. Like, it is really, really great to kind of get the insight into what's happening in your application. And then there are two things additionally. So we have the profiling view, not the profiling, the time spread view, as we call it. The events gives you the understanding which parts of the code execution take most time. So if you are aware of performance of the application, and you are, as a responsible developer, you have this mindset that maybe you shouldn't do random code changes and then throw it into production and wait till somebody complains that it's slow. But maybe you should take some action beforehand. And XRebel just gives you very rough guidelines. So to which parts are slow, or if there are any excessive database usage or network usage or something. So those big problems that will certainly be a problem in production, but are fairly invisible on the developer's machine because, well, let's be honest, we have like amazing hardware and good networks. And
yeah. So sometimes you may even find that the same query is executed twice for some reason that you just didn't know that it is executed twice, or you expect it to be cached and you still see it being executed on your machine. It will be fast, but probably it will have implications in production.
Oh, totally. Like on my machine with a single concurrent user, I could do wonders. And this, like, a little bit of off topic, but this is why I feel a lot of mobile application developers do not care about concurrency or do not care about performance that much. They care about performance because of the battery, but not because of the slowness. Because there is only one person kind of dragging the finger on top of your phone.
It feels like you have been using your phone in the morning and it was slow today.
No.
Was it? No?
No.
All right. But I think two cool features that we have in this product that just go beyond what we were just saying, monitoring the performance, monitoring the external calls. We also have support for we say it's a microservices support because it's cool, right? But it's basically the end-to-end experience. Like you see the transaction going through multiple applications. If you have configured XRebel on all the nodes of your distributed application, you will see the request going through them in one single view. So let's say you have two applications. One is the front-end application. Another one is the backend application that talks to the database, and we will combine all the traces in one single view. You will see like the tree spanning from the first request in the front-end application till the database with the SQL query, which is also cool. Like we can connect all those contexts. And the other one, which is being released and for some reason is not listed on this page, because like it's the other feature, right? We have a single page application support. For the front-end applications that don't have any Java code, we can still connect the front-end UI to the back-end application and still show all the information in one single view. I think this is like really nice thing in the product. I haven't tried it myself yet, but I'm going to try it soon. And I think we'll have a product manager talking in one of the next episodes about those particular features. So, yeah. So let's go back to our homepage. We have a little bit of time still. I think we have other products that you may want to try if you haven't yet. So we had JRebel, which is our flagship product. We have XRebel, which is a very nice profiler-like performance tool. And then we have XRebel Hub, which is XRebel for teams. Basically, you can aggregate the data, you can monitor for regressions in your development cycle and discover the performance issues early before it actually hits production. And we have JRebel for Android, which is replication of JRebel tool for Android developers. I think Simon just did a workshop on that just recently, right?
Yeah, we did a custom workshop on JRebel for Android, and it's an interesting one, JRebel for Android, because it's actually really, really easy to install and try. And I had a great response just on Twitter the other day from someone who tried it, and they said, JRebel for Android is what I really wished Instant Run would be. And it's so effectively, you can write your code, and whether you're using an emulator or a device, we'll push that code onto that live device or emulator, and you'll see your code changes just in a few seconds. So it really is pretty special, that one.
Yeah, I tried that. I really like that you didn't have to do any other configuration than just to install the plugin. Yeah, you install the plugin, you run the application, it all works.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know why it works? You know why does it work? Because you have the fragmentation in the Android world for the devices, but you don't have the fragmentation for the development tooling. You have just Android Studio, and you have the Google provided like emulators and support libraries and stuff. Well, you have other emulators as well, but they all use kind of the same interface, and it all originates from Android Studio. That is an amazing place to be as the company.
That's very true.
Indeed. All right. So we had an overview of those two major tools. We mentioned the other tools that we have. We are going to go deeper in the next episodes, like feature-wise, what is supported, how to install, how to work with the tools. And we'll have nice guests talking about those features. And I think we can wrap it up here for the first experimental episode.
Woohoo! Thank you very much. Bye.
I have a question.
Bye-bye.
Since we didn't say bye, all of us yet, I have a question. So can you, Anton, you are the driving power behind this podcast. Can you maybe elaborate in 2 sentences what a viewer could expect from this podcast in the future? Why should they tune in for the next one?
Next one will be the overview of JRebel 7, the nice features about it. If you have been a long-time user, you probably want to know what are the new stuff that we are developing. If you haven't used it before, you probably will see just, general stuff that we can do with JRebel and why it's cool.
So this would be like the actual like hands-on demo.
Yeah, I hope so.
thing.
I hope
Yes.
so. I hope we can elaborate on the feature, describe it, and then the product manager, the real guy behind the feature, will actually show the demo and explain why it works in one way or another way, and give him some uncomfortable questions at the end.
That
Yeah,
is brilliant. Looking forward to that.
Nice. So now we can wave the hands, show the mugs,
Bye.
and say bye.
See you later.